more. Hey, some familiar faces that we will be watching in the next game to come.
Sizing up the competition, I see. Dignitas gonna go with the first pick, Ivern. Yeah, Tristana in general has become very, very popular on 13-13. Across all leagues on 13-13, it's second highest presence of any champion. So it is mostly being played mid. There has been some flexes towards bot. You know, some people very rarely also do even play it towards top in specific niche matchups. I've seen it top lane played into things. You know, it's like Kennen can work in that matchup. So it is pretty flexible, is really powerful in this patch. Ivern, though, also really, really strong, but not that many people have been playing it. So it's good to see more people picking it up. We had seen Contracts bringing it out. We saw, I believe, Armeo play it as well. So Santorin going to be bringing out here for Dignitas. And Vicla back on Annie duty. Annie Viego is a good combo. You know, it's so much for the upfront burst to try to help get that first reset, but honestly, it feels like in the LCS, this kind of whole year, we have not been seeing Viego do very well. I feel like almost always it comes out and it just kind of loses.
Yeah, the attempts for the junglers to kind of step into that carry position seem like they're usually answered the following week with going back onto those facilitators, you know, the Maokai, the Sejuani, and the like. And for Spica specifically, taking a look at how he has performed on the Viego, it wasn't a win the first time around, but only one game on the pick thus far this split. And now paired with the Renekton, that I think Impact, when you're looking at the wins that FlyQuest pulled through, he was a big part of that, and specifically on the Renekton, able to assert so much pressure in the side lanes and just soak up a lot of damage. And Dignitas will have to deal with that threat on the FlyQuest side, but bringing a different look to themselves, the Rumble locked in.
Yeah, Rumble getting really popular. We've seen a number of different people bring it out, both in, you know, kind of more hard counterpick matchups. We saw Revenge actually bring it out against, I believe it was a Malphite. That matchup really bad for Malphite. We saw Summit playing in this exact matchup yesterday where he went Ignite Comet, went really, really aggressive against Solo, I want to say it was, and got very ahead in that 1v1. So, you know, there are some pretty powerful matchups for Rumble. Also can be flexed towards mid. You know, I don't think we're going to see anything too crazy, but I have seen some Rumble jungle and solo queue as well. And Ivern can potentially be going down towards support, but definitely expecting it to be Jayce mid, Rumble top, and Ivern in the jungle for Dig. And I assume the FlyQuests are going to work under those same assumptions. Rel, another good flex pick on this patch. We haven't seen Rel jungle, I don't think, in the LCS just yet, but it is really popular in solo queue. Also, obviously, a really, really strong support these days. So is a powerful man.
Yep, ever since the changes came to Rel a few patches ago, there was that emphasis on the duality of her roles between support and jungle. But again, highlighting that support position in the LCS, Diamond already has had 3 games on her. It's been a comfort pick for a lot of the supports coming back into this engage meta. So stripping that away as an option for Dignitas and continuing down the bans, there is a focus on that bot lane, whether it be support or the bot lane position, to take these picks away, but Kaisa getting locked in for FlyQuest.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Nautilus here from Diamond. I do think it works well when you are playing with Rumble, have that lockdown for the equalizer, have setup as well, potentially for this Ashe. Could obviously go a lot of different directions, but it is going to be Braum, so more about the counter engage, more about shutting down some of the offensive pressure that FlyQuest is going to be looking to put on, because they've gone pretty heavily towards early game, mid game picks. You know, they want to play a lot of dive. We'll be interested to see what the last pick is going to be here. Are they going to go more for 2v2? Are they going to be going for setup, you know, for the Kaisa? Like, Nautilus Kaisa is incredibly common as a pick, but Braum does answer that fairly well. Blitzcrank coming through, really interesting from Vulcan. So it is a very aggressive look. There are not a lot of dashes over on the Dignitas side. So when you're actually looking at a lot of their champions, Ashe is going to struggle to deal with that. Jayce can potentially struggle, even Rumble, Ivern. Like, none of these champions actually have an easy way to just dash out or avoid those Blitzcrank hooks. So that could be difficult for them. But Blitzcrank from behind can be really, really trash. So we'll see how FlyQuest is going to do in the early stages, because the early games have not been very strong so far in the LCS.
And so with this early game focus from FlyQuest and then Dignitas on the other side, bringing some of that disengage with the Braum and the like, what do you make of the draft overall?
I mean, I think it's really interesting, right? We are going to see the Ignite Rumble again here coming through in the top lane. I do think a lot of pressure on FlyQuest to get things done, especially on the top side of the map. You know, utilize the Viego, the Annie, the Renekton to try
into the Rift. it's all the more important to rack up these wins. Of course, top 8 do make it into playoffs, but if you manage to avoid those bottom 2 positions, you do get that second life in the bracket. And I know a lot of these teams do care about that.
Yeah, getting upper bracket is a really big deal, but at the end of the day, it's just going to matter most what your form is going into playoffs, because it is relatively easy to get into playoffs with the top 8 teams all making it. Of course, you definitely don't want to be in the bottom 2 and miss out, but even if you get in 7th and 8th, whatever, and 6th, if you are really on point, if you're playing very well at that point, it doesn't necessarily matter. You can make the run. You can always make those miracles happen, as we have seen before. Both teams, though, just kind of fanning out level 1. And we see the red ward down on the enemy red buff. Both red buffs getting warded out, by either side. Defensive ward here as well. So both teams just trying to scout out where the start is going to be. With Ivern, there can be a lot of counter jungle shenanigans, so you definitely want to have an idea of where this guy is going to be starting. Is he going to choose your buff or anything like that? And Jensen, is just kind of sitting around here trying to track Spica, does spot Spica, and actually drops that Raptors ward. So they'll have full information on exactly what he's going to be getting done.
And with that early game focus, it's all the more important to establish this early vision, get some intel on where the junglers might end up going. Because Ivern, surging in popularity despite the nerfs that were applied on 13.13 to Brushmaker and Daisy, is still somebody that has the toolkit available to set up and really empower the rest of the team.
It's also really interesting. I feel like Jensen has been kind of changing up the style of champions that he plays. Over the last couple of games, we've seen some different stuff. He played a Tristana as early hook, is going to force the exhaust, and is an exhaust on Vulcan. So that has to be a misclick actually from Diamond. They were fairly stacked. I think he just meant to click on Prince there, but Prince going to get those Halo Blades autos off, and that is actually pretty bad for Diamond. Already down low, going to have to be popping his potions, is down the exhaust, but back to the point about Jensen. Jensen has been such a mage player throughout his career. We saw him bring out Tristana yesterday. That was only his 2nd Tristana game of his entire career. Remember, he has played hundreds and hundreds of pro games. He has, I want to say it's nearly 700 pro games played at this point. He only has 5 Jayce games total. He only has 2 Trist games total. So, he never played AD champions mid, really, in the past. So this is a little bit of a different page for him. I don't know if he feels that he's forced to in this meta, or that he just feels like, he was always strong on these picks, but it just didn't, weren't right with his team. But it is interesting to see someone, this long into his career really kind of swapping up the style of play.
It makes me wonder what his focus as a player is currently. Is he trying to expand that champion pool and try to be able to keep up more effectively? Is he doing this purely to facilitate what the team is looking for? I know he did just have an interview recently with Travis Gafford where they were talking about the mid-meta, LeBlanc on the static shift specifically, even with the nerf, how it was pretty annoying to be going against it and just see the wave get absolutely annihilated. So the impact of some of those changes, but didn't seem to feel one particular way or another about this current meta. So
yeah,
I think more to be seen in how he develops.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, right? Will he stick with this throughout the rest of the split? Would he stick with this towards playoffs is going to be a big question for me, because his most played AD champion all time is Lucian, right? And he only has 10 games compared to the 90-some on Orianna, 60-something on Azir, 60 on Syndra, etc., right? So he really has not played a lot of those. And then beyond Lucian, he's got a couple games on Yasuo. He's got 5 games on Jayce. He's got 2 games on Triss now, with having played one this week. So it's really not been champions in his wheelhouse at all. And I do think these are champions that you have to really execute on, because when you're playing things like Jayce, when you're playing things like Tristana, you've got to execute on the early game stage. Jensen in trouble now, though.
Stepping up, leaping to the skies, knocks back Vicla, down about half HP. So Jensen circling through the river and ended up keeping all his summoners in the moor.
Why did Vicla hold his stun that long? It felt like he wanted to try to hold his stun for Spica to get in range of a W flash or something, but he ended up holding his stun so long and then just gets knocked away and doesn't even get it off. So that felt like a pretty big misplay from Vicla to me. And now going to be able to utilize this pressure. Santorin just goes up towards top side. It's going to be able to back up Rich here, steal away the Krugs. Jensen getting very low, but does still have a biscuit in pocket. And Rich is going to continue trying to bully this matchup.
So Spica feeling some of the hurt of the time that he spent mid and not really able to grab anything from it right now, was technically leaning in that direction, but Santorin still hovering on the top side, having punished Spica in his own jungle. Impact, though, now losing his flash and more on the top side. Ooh, can we talk about Rich for a minute? Drawing that first blood on Dignitas and what he has been able to do for this team.
Yeah, Rich has been an exciting player. Joining the league, has been bringing out different picks, aggressive picks, and is able to get that first blood onto Impact in this 1v1. We know when you're playing with that Ignite, you want to be able to play aggressive. You want to harass under tower with these Electro Harpoons. He has the overheat. He gets him with that first Electro Harpoon, has the overheat for the additional damage on the auto attacks, and then as Impact steps up to farm those range minions, that's where you're most at danger in these melee versus range matchups. So he just flashes in, gets the auto, gets the Ignite, and that is enough to take down Impact. It is really difficult when you fall behind in these kind of matchups too, because you are just always going to get pushed in. You're always going to get harassed on every single range minion, and it can become really difficult to be useful as a Renekton from behind.
Though FlyQuest, to offset some of that pressure on the top side, are focusing down on this dragon here at the 6-minute mark. Able to burn it, no step up from Dignitas. So evening it a tad and trying to not let any leads become too insurmountable for the Dignitas side.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is just about a 700 gold lead right now. Not the end of the world by any means, but still pretty significant this early on. We are seeing these two mid laners trading back and forth pretty aggressively. It is first strike on both, so when you are playing first strike versus first strike, you always want to be trying to poke off that buff as often as you can. You know, get that trading advantage, get that gold advantage. And Jensen looking for an angle here with the Shock Blast. Santorin is in the area, so he knows he'll have that support. You can see Spica is over on the Wolves finishing up that clear. So I think both mid laners going to be feeling pretty safe at this point. You can see Jensen is cheating towards the top side of the map because he has no wards on bot side. And with them taking away the red buff, this should be a bit of a giveaway that Spica can only kind of be on that bot side of the map. You know, if he's not going to be there contesting his red, he's got to be down on the bot side. And I think that's why Tomo and Diamond are moving out from lane. They're trying to see, where the hell is Spica? You know, where could this Viego be? We don't want to walk up all the way. They are going to spot him now.
Now have the eyes, throw out the volleys. Spica flashes to get more in the sights of Prince and Vulcan, but even after being exhausted, able to get knocked down. But Tomo also falling low. Ignite burns Prince here, getting the kill credit. But a scrappy fight in the bot lane, all off of Tomo and Diamond searching for Spica.
Yeah, they got the read that he's there, and Prince needs to be a little bit careful as he does get tagged. Diamond trying to step forward, but Prince is 6, so you're not going to kill him now. As long as he gets plasma on you, he can always ult back to safety, and Braum's not going to burst through that. Santorin was spotted moving down the river, so they are going to be able to stay safe, but nice play from the Dignitas bot lane. They knew Viego had to be down there. He wasn't answering his stolen red buff on the top side, so they search him out. They do get the kill in the 2v3.
All the while, Rich now in the 2v1 up top. Impact has the dominance. Equalizer thrown down, but the burn won't be enough to finish him off. Rich seeing if he can take Spica, but Spica coming on through with a Heartbreaker to make this a good play for FlyQuest on the top side.
Yeah, I kind of want to see that one more time because Rich was overheated before he got his Equalizer down, which is one of those things that can really, really come to bite you when you are playing Rumble. So I want to see, like, did he overheat before Viego showed, or did he actually mess it up? Because in that 1v2, if he got the Equalizer down really early, that fight could potentially look very different. And it's something you always have to watch out for when you are playing Rumble. Overheating at the wrong time can be devastating, and it allows them to get that kill back. It does not go to the Renekton, but let's see it one more time. So he's sitting very close to overheated. He wants to keep his heat high. Okay, so he overheats, then Spica comes through. So this one's a little bit harder to blame him on. I think it's just good timing on the gank there from FlyQuest. The Equalizer does come down, and as his Ignite comes back off cooldown, he uses it onto Spica, but can't quite get the kill because Spica gets a level up off the kill, plus he's going to get the heal from taking over that Spirit. So you can see a little bit of frustration on the face there of Rich. Wanted to keep that snowball rolling and is not going to be able to as a result. But Santorin will grab Herald. So going to be feeling pretty good about things overall, and they are still in the lead over 1K.
Yeah, increasing that gold lead for sure, and that Rift Herald will make an opportunity in the future for Dignitas to continue extending that lead unless FlyQuest have something to say about it. But Rich returning back to lane, still a bit of time before the teleports are back and available, but not much longer until they are officially unleashed. Bot lane for Dignitas left alone in the lane currently, off of a reset from Prince and Vulcan.
Yep, you can see that Prince just finished his static shiv, so he's going to be back out on the map. Vulcan threatening a move towards mid. He is playing that Blitzcrank. I will say it is pretty annoying playing against Ivern as Blitzcrank because Daisy can get in the way of a lot of your hooks. So he does have to contend with both Daisy and Braum in those 5v5s. But if they can hook really anyone else besides the Daisy or the Braum, it's going to be pretty good because it is very squishy members on the Dignitas side. Even Rich can be very vulnerable if he gets hooked in. You know, he is going kind of a bit of a tankier build. Looks like he's You know, not going towards like an early Zonias or anything like that. Potentially just rushing Demonic. But we'll see exactly what he does want to go for.
And I mean, when looking at those targets, whether it be Rich or someone else that Vulcan could try to go for, I mean, I'm just looking at Tomo on this Ashe, very immobile, but that puts the pressure on Diamond and the like to be able to protect him in the team fights to come. Right now, a lot of hovering from FlyQuest in the bot side jungle to get these deeper wards extended and trying to lock on to where Santorin might be going.
Yeah, trying to track where Santorin is as much as possible. He is going for the Moonstone build, so going kind of that full support build. We had been seeing more like Night Harvester and things like that. Nice flash hook.
Flashes, get the hook, the knockup, and more. An attempt for Jensen to get on top of Vicla, but cannot pull him down. So 1 kill to the FlyQuest side.
Yeah, great job there by Vulcan. Makes the roam happen. Have been hovering around mid for quite a long time. Does have the Swifty boot, so wants to be active on the map. Finds the flash, finds the hook. Jensen did not have flash, so could not respond to it. And that's going to allow not only the kill, but a second dragon here for FlyQuest. So starting to get some more purchase in this game.
Now 4 members of FlyQuest down here on the dragon.
Rich is coming as well.
Coming from mid. Teleport as Rich makes his way to the party. Stun up onto Spica. Tibbers is down. Tomo has to flash out of the fight. And Impact is coming from the jungle to get one last swing onto Diamond. Grabbing the kill and wanting to go for more. Jensen finds himself in the crosshairs of Prince here, but the equalizer blown down by Rich to try to zone off the rest. 3 taken away by FlyQuest, pushed off the dragon, and Dignitas punishing the play.
Yeah, good roam down there from Rich. He does arrive. He's not playing TP, so Impact gets there first, but Dignitas do win out on that fight. Getting that final kill. The Root Caller lands onto their target, who's in that equalizer. He gets shredded down. Dignitas will be able to take this, and now Vicla TPing back, but Santorin flash shield is going to be able to help turn it around. So it is flash for flash there. Santorin saves his mid laner. I'm not sure if Jensen would have gone down if he had not flashed in, but either way, is going to be able to get the flash in response from Vicla, and they get the TP off him. So no TP's up now for FlyQuest. We can watch this one more time. FlyQuest first to that dragon, but Vicla was already chunked low, and we can see Vulcan Hex flash in onto Tomo, but Diamond is in between him and those targets. It didn't look like the Tibbers actually landed. Back to live, though. Vulcan looking for another play.
Trying to get the knockup, does manage it onto Tomo, which means Spica feels all prepared to go for the Heartbreaker. Diamond busted on back, double kill for Spica. Good setup from FlyQuest.
Yeah, great game so far from Vulcan. 006 has been involved in everything. Held the hook there the whole time. He just popped W, walked past the Braum, knocks up Tomo. They get the kill there. And then when Timon uses that jump back to his ally, just gets hooked right back in. Congratulations to Jensen, moving 10th all time in the assists, closing on that 3,000 mark. Pretty crazy stuff. But it is going to be Dignitas dropping the Herald on top side. Rich and Santorin up here. Impact and Spica are in the area. For sure it's going to crash. The question is, can they stop it after that? We can see Vulcan is moving up here as well, so FlyQuest for sure do not want to allow that full tower to go down, and they won't have to.
But still some plates that Dignitas were able to grab off of that crash. Only 30 seconds remaining before the plates fall. So Dignitas was up a bit in gold at one point, but starting to minimize that lead.
Yeah, you can see the Hex Flash play again here from Vulcan. Hex Flash into the brush, run up. No Q tag. I'm not sure if it was on cooldown from Diamond, but you got to kind of try to tag that Blitz as he's running in. He didn't have his ulti. I assume his Q was on cooldown. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt there. So Vulcan just runs straight in, hits him, knocks up Tomo into the air. They get that first kill, and then he saves his hook the whole time because he doesn't need to use it for that first kill. Now going to hook in Daisy and looking to actually just try to kill that off. It is 50 gold, and it does reduce a lot of the power of Ivern if you can kill it off. So even though it looks a little bit funny there, especially if your jungler's around and you're just like smiting this thing down and bursting it down, Ivern kind of sucks without Daisy.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you were saying it earlier, Azael, how a lot of those hooks can be blocked by Daisy, so why not just kill her off? So then you leave that opening. Vicla won't be golden for long, but does have Spica nearby and a wave.
Yeah, he's going to survive, and he was under the tower, so just needed to buy that time. Diamond blocks the hook. Well, can they turn this around? Doesn't look like it. He wasn't able to get the passive onto Vulcan. You know, when you do get hooked in there, it's so important as the Braum to try to tag that Blitz with his Q, especially if Blitz is using the W on the run-in. He's going to get the natural slowdown from that ability. If you tag him with the Q, then all of a sudden Ashe can maybe follow and try to chase him down and punish. But Vulcan seems to be able to get in and out of these fights pretty easily without being punished, so has been big for them. is going to be first tower, though, taken by Dig on that bot side. The top tier 1 is also very, very low. So Dignitas close to collecting a couple turrets here and trying to extend that gold lead back to where it was.
Many members of FlyQuest leaning towards this top side so they can try and take this second Rift Herald for themselves. But the pings coming through from Dignitas. Jensen using his teleport to usher towards this mid tower.
Yeah,
Wards are good by FlyQuest. Diamond first to throw out the Glacial Fissure, lands onto Spica, but the zoning's good from Fly, so Dignitas, they're not going to force this one.
Yeah, they felt really hesitant to walk in there because they know that they don't have any vision and Vulcan is going to be over the wall looking for a hook. So if you give that angle to him, he's going to grab one of your carries. The fight is going to be instantly lost. So they needed to wait for Diamond to allow him to go first with the shields behind him. Vulcan, though, getting tagged. Jensen.
Crystal Arrow does manage to stun him up. Takes a decent amount of damage, but no follow-up.
Yeah, Jensen not wanting to commit his flash, not wanting to go in over the wall to actually get in onto him. So it is just that chunk at the end of the day, not going to mean too much. But it does buy them time up on the top side. So another turret going the way of Dignitas, back that 1.3k gold lead that we were at for Dignitas quite a while ago. So they are still looking pretty good, but we'll have to see where the game goes from here. Jayce now kind of outplaying those side lanes more heavily. You know, Rumble definitely can be pretty solid in the side lanes too, and it was the Demonic Embrace rush that I was talking about. I haven't seen this a lot. Almost always, you know, when I do see Demonic Embrace come in, it's like as a second item. Generally, we're just seeing Rumble still rush their Mythic. So a little bit of a different take on it here from Rich. Does make him more tanky. Was potentially worried about, you know, getting burst down by Viego Renekton as a combo, or maybe getting 100-0 by Annie in a fight or something like that. So wanted a bit more HP, wanted a little bit more tankiness. So gonna try something a bit different here.
Handled himself well in lane where, yes, there was that attention spent by Spica, but Rich still maintaining that farm. They did use that first Rift Herald to get that turret open on the top side, and now Impact with teleport available will be ushering that way forth. There's one hook coming through to try and burn down Daisy, so heavy tools that Santorin has that have now already been drawn and expelled. So Dignitas turning their eyes over towards the dragon. Teleport from FlyQuest will allow them to entrench on both sides. Rich looking for a good angle, has the equalizer. You can always use that to separate some of these fights. But Spica and the rest of FlyQuest know where he's lurking. Uses the Scryers, and that's enough to try and push some of FlyQuest off. Dignitas really also want to keep an eye on where Vulcan may be coming from to try and hook in. Dragon's already down to 50%. Jensen coming from the bot side.
Impact's gonna look over the wall here.
Diamond gets grabbed by Vulcan, but not the one you want, and Prince has fallen low. Equalizer dropped, and Rich focusing his sights onto Impact. Impact gone. Spica coming through with a Heartbreaker, and the Dragon has been reset into the pit, and FlyQuest already backing off of this one. It's the 2-for-1 so far. No jungler for Dignitas, but nobody on the Dragon anymore.
Yeah, FlyQuest, you know, they have some low health bars there, so they want to get Prince back to base, let him reset. They dropped Herald mid in the midst of that. Well, dropped Herald in the river and it went mid. So they are going to be able to get multiple towers here and pull into the gold lead themselves. They should be able to reset and go back to the Dragon as well. But look at Impact. His angle here on this fight was really, really good. They'd already killed off Daisy. Impact gets in from the side onto the back line, so Tomo and Jensen are just pushed out immediately. And then sure, Diamond is not that premium target that you want to hook in, but when he's split from his DPS, and when Impact is zoning out the back line like that, it's just a firing line there for FlyQuest, so they're able to take out multiple members. They kill off Santorin, they kill off Diamond, while their carries are not connecting on the other side. So it's really good frontline play there from Impact without overcommitting, and now Diamond gonna get hooked in again.
Yeah, the commitment of the hook onto Diamond means that he flashes towards the team. So one summoner taken away, and Dignitas responding similarly to the way they did last time, focusing back onto the Dragon. They've got Santorin once again, a few ultimates available, but no equalizer as that hasn't come up. No Enchanted Crystal Arrow, no Glacial Fissure. So FlyQuest feeling more agency and stepping up. Vulcan taking a bit of damage, and Rich trying to focus it, but the healing comes through. Daisy still setting on to the Dragon, and Dignitas zoning off FlyQuest. They don't have Vulcan to threaten with that hook anymore, so Dignitas feel a lot more comfortable hanging around this river. Yeah,
Prince is landing a lot of good poke there. Has the W evolve on the Kaisa. You know, he's just hitting those W's time and time and time again. Dignitas will get the Dragon. Santorin has to be a little bit careful on the exit, but he's going to be able to get out of there, and this time they got the kill onto Vulcan. The redemption really paying dividends for Dignitas in that fight. it is one of the advantages of having an Ivern on your team with these supporty builds, is the items are so cheap that he gets this 2-item power spike that are really efficient items very early on. So bringing a lot of power to that dragon fight. You know, Dignitas have been chunked down quite a lot, and that redemption got a ton done. It was about 1,300 in healing from that one redemption. So that is really, really impactful in a fight like that.
Buy things that are cheaper and you feel rich faster.
True, yeah. I mean, it is really nice because junglers often in the pro play, you are going to be kind of unlimited income. In the early game, maybe you're hard farming, but especially come mid game, it really does slow down as you're more kind of tied to your support and trying to get vision and trying to play around that. Tomo does get tagged, but Prince doesn't have vision to really follow it in, look for the kill. He'd obviously win the 1v1, but if you don't know where everyone else is, it is risky. And we do see the Enchanted Crystal Arrow fishing, not going to be able to hit Vicla. Prince going to be going for Luden's build here, so committing more heavily to the poke. I know some people really are a big fan of this. We've been seeing more Rage Blade, but if you are just going to be more committed to playing long range, playing for that poke, the Luden's proc, of course, is very nice, and it does really kind of ramp up that damage and make it pretty annoying to deal with. But Kaisa is just like so high variance because if you're hitting the Ws, you're also resetting the cooldown, right? So it becomes really low cooldown, becomes really oppressive. But if you're able as a team to consistently avoid those, Kaisa poke doesn't really become a big deal.
But there are other people on FlyQuest side that can become a big deal if they continue getting stronger, like Spica. We were just talking about Santorin being able to hit those items quicker because it's being more supportive, but now Spica is a couple items deep. 5 and 2 on the scoreboard. We were talking about the fact that not everyone has been able to make Viego work this split in the same way as others. I know that we saw a great Armeo Viego game, for instance, but it hasn't been consistently a carry. But in this case, Spica has been finding some big targets, has been able to get the ball rolling and get some gold into his pockets to make him effective.
And Viego from ahead is really, really strong because it's so much about having the upfront damage, being able to take these duels, being able to get those resets where he can really pop off in a fight. So I do think, you know, he's in a pretty good spot. I also like the fact that Vulcan is going lock at this game. Both supports actually going lock at this game. We see a lot of kind of these other options, but I do think especially against Rumble when there's heavy AoE damage, lock-it is just a must to me.
Spica's a lurkin, Dignitas making sure to move the unit. They land the arrow onto Annie, follow up with the equalizer, and Jensen's coming in with the teleport, but the burn is so good onto the FlyQuest mid laner. Dignitas almost about to get on Baron.
Back in here in a second. Dignitas onto the Baron here. We'll see what the approach happens. Is Impact going to TP? He's in base. He's finished his base. So this is what I'm wondering now. Will he TP to a safer ward? So he's going to TP to the same ward, but they haven't walked up and actually gotten queued by Daisy. So now Dignitas has to choose. Do they commit to the Baron?
Will they do so? Rich ventures forward, gets stunned up, knocked up, and more. Impact with Dominus activated, swings into the back line, and now Rich has fallen. So Dignitas retreating towards the top side, exhaust thrown onto Impact. The acceleration gate makes for a nice way to escape.
Yeah, they are going to be able to get the Baron and get out. I'm actually pretty surprised that FlyQuest didn't commit more heavily to that fight with them in the pit. It was kind of like a little bit of like a half turn. I think a root collar connected and Rich clicked on the target, and that actually pulled him in range of getting the hook there. So I do think that was a little bit of a misclick. We saw Santorin hit 11th most all time now. So let's watch this one more time. I think that's what happened. I think a root collar connected, and then Daisy gets sent out off the root collar. Rich clicks it too, and then he gets hooked up. So they're getting this poke, but the Baron was just burned down very quickly. Yeah, root collar connects. Rich clicks it. That was an accident. I can pretty much guarantee you that was an accident. Daisy went out, and he goes out too. Unfortunately for him, dies instantly. And it's just going to be a full retreat for Dignitas, but they do get the Baron. They do get 4 members out alive. So honestly, really good for Dig. I didn't think they'd be able to claim it.
Yeah, I think that escape was really great from them. You want to keep as many with that buff as possible. So Rich being the only one sacrificed in that regard, and now bringing that pressure here across the mid lane. Of course, Vicla is back up and back and ready with the stun, trying to find a lurking angle if needed to keep Dignitas away. But the damage is oh so good on the turret, even dropping the equalizer to make sure they can put some work onto FlyQuest. Spica had to use the Heartbreaker, was worried about the lockdown that Dignitas could follow up with.
Yeah, gonna have to use that in retreat. Prince taking a shock blast back. They're trying to kill out Daisy. It does seem to be a big focus here for FlyQuest. Every time Daisy gets summoned, they're just trying to actually just burst it down and really reduce a lot of the power that Ivern has. It is dead now, and we see that FlyQuest are looking. Vicla lurking over the wall, does have his flash, but Dignitas were aware of it, so they pull back down. And It's just been Prince just poking and prodding non-stop, but it will be Dignitas having the Baron, moving to 3 dragons, so they will be on soul point now. One off that mountain soul is going to be a really big deal against a composition that relies pretty heavily on a lot of upfront damage, you know. Yes, there is poke from Kaisa, but Annie, Viego, Renekton, all these champions, Blitzcrank, you know, hooking someone in, you're trying to burst them down. Mountain Soul is going to make that much more difficult.
And here, past 25 minutes, over 1,000 gold in the lead for Dignitas. Just over 30 seconds to go on this Red Bull Baron buff. Bringing that pressure to the bot lane means that they get the tier 2 here. And that's a lot that they were able to siege off of this, because that soul point that they're putting themselves on, feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah, I mean, Impact cancel his recall, but he's so low. If he goes in, I think he's just going to insta-die. So I don't think this is going to work, but it seems like they're down to flip the game here. Vicla's going to TP in, and this could be the final fight.
Looking for it. Impact gets stunned, so trying to retreat in the direction of the mid lane. Rich is over the wall, and Jensen trying to go for it, but FlyQuest is going in. Santorin marked low, has Tibbers on his tail. Diamond right there in the bucket of multiple FlyQuest members. And Dignitas losing 2, traded for 1, as Vicla has also fallen.
Yeah, Prince was able to find the angle there into the back line. A huge fight from Prince. Is able to get in with that killer instinct, get in on top of Tomo, take him down. A massive team fight win for FlyQuest, because if they lose that, the game just ends. So it was really big. I mean, Impact was pushed out kind of as I expected, but he drew a fair bit of pressure. Jensen was chasing him out of the fight. They didn't have everyone together, and that opened up the opportunity for FlyQuest to win out on the other side, to dive into the back line. So we'll watch this one more time. Impact's so low as he's going in here, and you think he's just going to go down. They use the redemption again early to reset, but look at Jensen chasing him. Rich is over on the side, not with the squad, and they find the opportunity as the plasma is procced onto Tomo by Vicla. Prince gets the killer instinct into the back line. The bot lane had been kind of abandoned there, as everyone was so distracted by Impact that they kind of forgot about the rest of the team.
And Vicla put in that work before he fell, getting that great engage alongside the rest of FlyQuest. So Dignitas were pushed off and unable to get that inhibitor in that bot lane. And now Impact spending some time trying to push that wave, because you can see that that turret for Dignitas bot is pretty weakened already, but they're going to go for the tier 2 here across mid. Spica lurking in his own jungle. FlyQuest have been attempting to find these collapsing angles whenever Dignitas step forward, to seeing if they overstay their welcome.
And that's absolutely what they're going to have to do, right? You know, as they push up towards the base, you're trying to maintain some semblance of defensive vision, find plays, find picks. Vicla, though, has been spotted, but it's Spica and him collapsing.
For drop down, Jensen falling into a lot of damage. Diamond coming to withstand behind me, and you can see the healing coming from that supportive build of Santorin. And Dignitas, they do keep their mid laners safe, still holding on to the flash for Jensen. The FlyQuest making their stand in that moment, and now going for some resets.
Yeah, they do proc that Hex Drinker there from Jensen, but had that to help them survive against the burst. And as Ivern arrives, you know, they have redemption. They have some shielding coming through from the Moonstone, the shields from the Ivern E as well. You know, Braum arrives. Everyone is there to kind of keep him safe. And it is really important, because he's also holding a 550 gold bounty, so you definitely do not want to lose Jensen at this point. He is the strongest member on their team. And Dignitas just trying to continue pushing this game forward. FlyQuest up towards the top side of the map, trying to establish some vision here around the Baron. That is going to be spawning in about 25 seconds. A minute or so after that, we will get that soul fight potentially. So Prince just kind of hanging off to the side, playing in the side brush, trying to land as many Void Seekers as possible, soften up Dignitas for a potential fight, but they do have to be really careful, because one lost fight this close to your base, this late in the game, it can just be over.
And Dignitas are attempting to maintain that vision on the outskirts of the Baron pit, though FlyQuest making work to try and clear it out. And I mean, FlyQuest, when you're looking at the recent moments of being able to make that stand in the team fights, if you can find a good angle from Vicla, find a good moment for Impact to be able to delay some of the onslaught of Dignitas. It's worked out once before to keep them at bay, but will it work out around a second Baron?
Vicla is not spotted, probably was spotted now, as Santorin used the brush for a bit of reveal there, and they push him back. So they know Spica's on the top side, they know Vicla was up there. Will have his flashback momentarily. Diamond has been doing a good job just standing in front, blocking out Void Seekers, getting shields from that Ivern. It is obviously ideal, though, if you can just dodge it instead of blocking it, because it does make that cooldown that much longer. Prince looking like he's going towards death cap as well, so wants to commit more heavily to that AP style build. Vision has been reclaimed around that Baron. by Dignitas. You can see a couple of these wards. They have multiple pink wards in this area. All of this defensive vision, though, is kind of there to try to keep their side of the jungle safe for FlyQuest. And it's FlyQuest to have vision down around this dragon first. They know they've got to be there first. They cannot afford to give up an easy soul. So it's going to be Daisy used to face check here, and they will look for the engage.
Got the enchanted crystal arrow already thrown out, but wasn't able to land. Vulcan still going for the play of getting the Q onto Daisy. Try and eliminate some of that frontline possibility of Dignitas. Vicla sweeping out.
Oh, no.
Dignitas needs to end the game if it goes in their favor. Dig still on the dragon. Vulcan making his way from Prince. With Prince over from the jungle, but takes a lot of poke. Equalizer thrown down. Impact going on to Rich, but that's one stopwatch right there. Stunned over the wall. Spica has left the building. Vulcan eliminated. Vicla popping his watch, but Jensen going for the slaughter. Dignitas, they claim the soul. A triple kill for Jensen. Going in pursuit for more. The Quadra gets it. Dignitas up on top in the fight.
They're hunting. They want to get him the Penta. They see Spica, but Spica is running for the hills.
Denying it. He knows what he's doing, but Jensen still sticking on Spica. Dignitas is going to go try to end the game. I see a world where they just kind of hold it at the Nexus as well.
Oh, wait, he's waiting for him. He gave it to him.
He followed up. He handed it over. Pentakill for Jensen. What a weird way to end it. But just in time for Dignitas to end the game. Jensen teleporting into the Nexus to be rejoined with his team and celebrate the ace and Penta.
Yeah, he waited for him. He gave him the Penta at the end. Spica could have kept running. He gives it over. Dignitas get the win. Jayce Penta for Jensen here. Only his 6th time in his career he